You get the black and orange on that.
All right, guys. Going far away from Coach Sanford.
Mike, obviously, Coach Harsin contacted you last year to go to Arkansas State, and you passed on that opportunity. But why was this the right fit for you this time?
It's a great question. You know, I think this place has been a special place for me, for my wife Anne-Marie, and you know, honestly, we talked before this season. You know, leaving Stanford's a difficult thing to do. It's an unbelievable situation there. Coach Shaw is about as good of a man as you can find. I think Coach Harsin's relationship with Coach Peterson is similar to my relation with Coach Shaw. And so it was a difficult decision to make, but we said before this season, there's only one place in America at any level that we'll leave Stanford for, you know, on our own accord, and that was Boise State. And that's a conversation that we had. We believe in this place. We are really excited about the future here. You know, and I think that played a big role in it. And the other part was having that opportunity to essentially spend 2 hours on Christmas. It was actually on Christmas night that Coach Harsin called me about the Arkansas State job. You know, having that opportunity to speak with him and for he and I to really share our offensive ideals and our philosophies. You know, it really reminded me of how much, you know, this place has formed who I am as a coach, who I am in terms of how I believe, you know, the game of football should be coached and offenses should be run. You know, I think the opportunity to come back and work for Coach Harsin, you know, played a huge role in that as well.
Did you come close at all to going to Arkansas State, or?
It was certainly something that I thought about, and I thought long and hard about it. And honestly, you know, I just left the Sun Belt Conference as a coordinator. I was a pass game coordinator at Western Kentucky 2 years prior. You know, I was there for 1 year. Stanford was kind of the other place that I'd really wanted to get back to because my wife grew up 5 miles from that, you know, from that campus. So that was difficult. The thing that made it really intriguing to me was Coach Harsin. You know, and just his excitement, you know, and what he's done in his career, what he did here as an offensive coordinator. So that was something, you know, as a football coach, you're always looking for that next thing that you can learn and you can grow and you can become a better football coach, a better leader, and prepare yourself for opportunities down the road. And you know, that draw of Coach Harsin was something that was really intriguing to me, even at Arkansas State.
What are your offensive philosophies going to be? What's this offense going to look like?
Well, you know, I think the thing that's going to happen, Coach Harsin put together a great offensive staff, and there's some guys that come from different backgrounds. You know, there's you know, obviously I've been in multiple backgrounds, and you know, Coach Drinkwitz and what he's been around in Coach Malzahn's system. You know, he coached them at the high school level, and then you look at Coach Riddle. He's been through it all. You know, he's been through, you know, a lot of different systems dating back to Army. You know, and then you look at Coach Huff. You know, and he's been a part of basically the whole evolution of the Boise State offense. He's seen it from 1998 until today. So you're looking at, you know, a bunch of guys with a lot of great ideas. And that's the thing that I think is the cornerstone of Boise State's offense is always going to be, you know, we're going to have a physical downhill running game. You know, we're going to be an attacking offense. We're going to take our opportunities to throw the ball down the field. But the other thing that's been really the brand of Boise State's offense is creativity, you know, and multiplicity. You see that, you know, time and again. When Boise State's really good offensively is when it's obviously you believe in your fundamentals of being a physical football team, but also, you know, just being able to mesh different worlds of offenses together, you know, and be on the cutting edge of creativity and be on the cutting edge of how to use your personnel, you know. And I think that's going to have a lot to do with what we do here offensively is studying our personnel, you know, get to know where are our strengths right now, you know, at Stanford I thought that, you know, people thought we were a tight end heavy offense. Well, we didn't really play with a true tight end this year. We played with offensive linemen, you know, as 6, 7, 8 offensive linemen at times, but we played with 4 receivers. Whereas the year before we played with 3 tight ends for most of the game. So, you know, I've been exposed to that at different places, and I thought Boise State's, you know, my experience here playing under, you know, Coach Helfrich, Coach Cutter, Coach Peterson, Coach Hawkins, Coach Harsin, is just adapting to your personnel, and that's been something that has been a hallmark of this program.
Coach said you're going to call the plays. I mean, is it exciting to kind of know that, yeah, you have all these, you know, ideas and stuff, but you're the one that ultimately gets to put it all together out there?
Yeah, you know, and the thing that, like I said earlier, is just really knowing that when we're in that room together, we're going to rely on each other. I'm going to rely on that staff. I'm going to rely on Coach Harsin and his experience. You know, when you get an opportunity to be an offensive coordinator at a place like Boise State, you know that with that great you know, job title comes great responsibility as well. And I have a lot of respect for that job. When I was kind of thinking about this decision, I thought about some of the last people that have occupied the quarterback meeting room, you know, and dating back to when I was a freshman, redshirting freshman quarterback. The two guys in my position meeting room were Coach Cutter and Mark Helfrich. You're talking about the Atlanta Falcons offensive coordinator, the head coach of the University of Oregon. Okay, so then who chases the next guy? Oh, that's Chris Peterson. He's done a pretty unbelievable job, I think, to say the least, as a football coach. And and then obviously what's gone on with Coach Harsin, and he's now the head coach of in my opinion, the best school to coach at, college football. And then you look at what Coach Prince has done in his career. So there's great responsibility that comes with this position. I take it very seriously, but I'm also really excited about this opportunity and just really to put our stamp, our staff stamp, and Coach Harsin's stamp on this offense and this football team.
What are the things that you gleaned from how the personnel that's coming back this year was used last year, and things that you want to incorporate, you think?
Well, to be perfectly honest, we're in the process right now. I mean, we've been here for a couple days, and that was one of the first things, really for myself and for this offensive staff, is we're going to go back and study our personnel, study what we did in 2013, watch those 13 games, watch the young guy periods, and let's find out who our personnel is first. And so that's very much in the infant stages right now. So there's a lot of research that's going to be done over the coming weeks. I know, having played in the Pac-12 conference, I did see Boise State against Washington on film. We obviously did watch the bowl game with a close, with a watchful eye, just knowing that they'd played against Oregon State, knowing that I'd be coming here. There's some things that I'll learn from the personnel, but to have any answers on that, not quite to that point yet.
Any initial impressions?
What?
Were you taking notes? What did you see in the bowl game that caught your eye?
Well, yeah, to be honest, I really liked the way that they came out and played offensively, moving the football, threw the ball down the field well. The same thing, the football fundamentals you hang your hat on, you got to hold on to the football, and that's going to be, when Boise State's at the top of the college football, world, those turnovers are at a low, they're low, and our defense is getting them, and we're feeding off of each other. So that I think is it's a 14, 15-point game, and you're looking at, 2 turnovers led to touchdowns. And we're gonna stress that quite a bit. Getting back to, and I know they've stressed that here for years, but in that game, that led to a huge swing in momentum. And that's one thing I thought that was really good about our program at Stanford. We preach ball security, we preach decision making with our quarterbacks, and that's one thing that is going to be a big hallmark of what we do here. Talking about taking care of the football.
What does it mean to you personally to get a chance to run your own offense for the first time?
It means a lot, and it's humbling, especially when you're around guys in that offensive staff that you respect a lot, and you respect Coach Riddle. I mean, I played here, and I thought he's one of the best football coaches I've ever been around. And Scott Huff, I mean, he was the senior captain when I was a sophomore. So the guys you really respect a lot, that's part of it. I think the other part of it is just knowing that you've been brought up in this profession. I feel like I've been around some really good coaches. I look back to, tracing back to playing under Coach Cutter, Coach Peterson, Coach Helfrich, and then having a chance to work for my dad, and what that meant to me, and seeing how he organized an offense coming off of the success at Utah, and then going into UNLV as a GA, and then having a chance to be under Jim Harbaugh. So you learn from really good offensive minds, and you take certain things and you apply them in making your own philosophy. So I think that's something that you look back, and then of course with Coach Shaw, and what he meant to me offensively, and just kind of what a great teacher he is. So you really take those opportunities to look back at what you've learned from all the great coaches you've been around and apply them forward.
Sorry, how big is this next 4 or 5 weeks for you as far as recruiting goes, and especially on the offensive side? And I guess Coach was talking about how you and Coach Yates can, you don't have to read off a paper. You can talk about your personal experiences here. How do you think that's going to help you recruiting-wise? Tremendously. Recruiting is the lifeblood of our program. It's going to be so important to what we do, and this class is going to be critical for that. And there's going to be opportunities for guys to come in and compete, and that's going to be every year. No matter what the season before held, you're going to have a chance to come in and compete and play, and we're always going to have those opportunities. So, that's one thing I have learned quite a bit. Being at different programs, and recruiting's different everywhere you are. Obviously, going from Yale to Western Kentucky, and then back to Stanford. 3 completely unique recruiting situations.
But really, you realize that it always stays the same. Is you got to get players. You have to have the personnel. You got to recruit to your strengths and to what you want to be philosophically. And so that'll be really important. And I think what I'm really excited about is this whole coaching staff, the guys that I've been around. The excitement's there. Their interpersonal relationship skills are outstanding, and you get to see that. And it's gonna be really fun to go out and hit the road with these guys.
Will you recruit the same kind of players for Boise State that you would have at Stanford, or is there a different player?
I think that you're always looking at Stanford. We look for tough, smart, great football players that love the game of football. And I think that you're going to do the same thing here. Now, in terms of do you go and meet the same market? Not necessarily. I mean, we have a different geographical niche than Stanford did. And obviously we have there's just different pieces of recruiting at Stanford as opposed to recruiting at Boise State. So I think. The things that I think this program have always been founded upon, and that's guys with great football IQs that love the game of football, that are tough, smart, and and are great teammates. I think that's very similar to the kind of guys that we recruited at Stanford.
It's your first chance to coach at Boise State. Was that something you dreamt of, something you tried to do over the years and haven't quite been able to get your foot in the door, or what?
It really has been. It's been a place that I've always watched really closely. Anytime you hear of any kind of coaching transition, I bet Coach Peterson's getting tired of his cell phone blowing up. And of course I was a GA at the time, and I've had opportunity to go out and get some more experience, and I think that's been really good. But this has been a dream for me to come back here, and this place really formed me. I think a lot in terms of who I am, in terms of what I believe in as a coach. I think this place really has that that destination feel for me as a football coach.
Did you try to get on when Harsin left, or when Pease left?
I think anytime anybody left, I think I tried to get on. I think obviously the one thing was challenging is once I did get back to Stanford. I was in a pretty good situation, and after 1 year or 2 years, I didn't really feel the need to try to go somewhere else. But after having 3 years and feeling like I was able to really serve Coach Shaw in a positive manner for a decent amount of time, and this opportunity presented itself, that was something that was certainly appealing.
What did he say to you when you told him you might be leaving?
Yeah, it was hard, because I knew it was about 10 days before the Rose Bowl. Actually, before we were leaving for the Rose Bowl, I can't remember the exact timeline. But I went into his office. I was nervous about it. I wanted to finish well. I wanted to do things the right way and finish this thing the right way with him. I went in and talked to him, and he lit up like a Christmas tree. I mean, he was so excited for me because he's heard me. He calls me a Boise guy all the time. He's like, "Oh, he's a Boise guy," And he knew how much this program meant to me. And his quote to me was, said, "Mike, this program, means so much to you." He said, "And there's nothing like returning to your alma mater to coach." And obviously, he knows that firsthand as a Stanford alum. And you see that in the way that he approaches that job. It's that much more special to him because he lived it. He lived the life of a scholar athlete at Stanford. I've lived the life of a student athlete here at Boise State. So I think he told me, this is an opportunity that seems like it's too hard to pass down. You got to pursue it. And for me, I was very happy that I had a chance to finish out well and coach in the Rose Bowl and help that team, and finish what I started, at least in the 2013-14 campaign.
Both you and Brian have unique perspectives, having been backup quarterbacks at Boise State, and what it means to always be ready to carry the flag. And in 2004, right down to the wire, when Jared became starting quarterback, what kind of things can you impart to the team from that standpoint?
Well, the old adage is those who can't play coach, and I think this staff certainly is indicative of that. There's a couple of these guys that really could play though, but I will say that I felt like my coaching career kind of began on the sidelines as a backup quarterback, and particularly in that year when Jared Zabransky was going into his first year as a starter, starting as a sophomore. Once that decision was made, I went out every day trying to prove that was the wrong decision at practice. But on game day and leading up to games and game preparation, I saw myself as kind of the second quarterback coach, and that was a really unique situation here at Boise State as a backup quarterback, that you were on the headphones and you heard all the dialogue that went on in the play calling between Coach Peterson, Coach Hawkins, and that full staff. And I felt like, in a way, I always kind of, even on my resume, I tried to put, backup quarterback at Boise State as my first job. as a coach. And it's something that I felt like as a coach was a really good learning experience for me. And obviously, Coach Harsin had a huge impact here as a backup for Bart Hendricks, playing under Coach Cutter. And what a great guy to learn from as well.
Just curious, when did you hear that Coach Harsin accepted the job here? And when you did hear, did you anticipate that a phone call might come?
Yeah, I was following it pretty closely. I was following the whole situation and seeing what was going to happen, what was going to transpire. And I think I shot Coach Harsin a text when there were some rumors flying around about his name and said, "Hey, really like to catch up pretty soon." And he came back and said, "Hey, you want to catch up soon?" And we kind of we were speaking in codes. Neither of us were really explicit in terms of what we were getting to, but I knew when he got the job that was going to be something that I was going to pursue and pursue vigilantly.
All right, guys.
No, just we have my dad and I have a different middle name, so.